Hi, all. So this morning, before I head out, I want to talk with you a little bit about less well-known books that had a big, as in lasting, impact on me. In an earlier vid, I talked about some of the well-known books that had a big impact on me in my preteen years. Today, I want to talk about some smaller, as in lesser known, books that also had a deep effect on me during that time and why. Now, let's start off with an understanding that I am not by nature a romance reader, though when I was younger, particularly during my preteen years, like almost every other girl I knew, we read Judy Blume to learn everything we could, from getting your period to first intimate experiences, at least kind of an idea of what it might be like. I'm not in any way calling Judy Blume a lesser known author because, let's face it, there is not an American female who reads for enjoyment who hasn't heard of her. So she's actually not one of the ones that I'm talking about today. But as you do when you're young, I read a lot of different genres to learn what I liked. Romance just never really did it for me. It was usually to fairy tale, which, if you lived in my house, you know just wasn't how relationships worked. However, The Tiger Lily by Shirley Busby, book one of the Southern Women series, was an exception. And again, I'm not saying that Shirley Busby doesn't have an enormous fan base, because she does. She is absolutely huge among romance readers, and there's a reason for that. She also has a huge library, and I'm sure that if the rest of her books are as good as The Tiger Lily was, or at least as good as I remember it, I will probably be going back to her now that I'm a little bit more, well, seasoned, as it were. But in The Tiger Lily, there was something about it that just sort of struck a chord. I think maybe it was that the heroine had something different than we were seeing a lot of at the time. A particular level of self-determination that resonated with me. And the guy, who was the main love interest eventually, wasn't a schmuck, if I recall correctly. And again, understand, I haven't read the book in 39 years, but he actually seemed to respect her, which to me at the time was a new concept. And it played an enormous part in how I would later portray the best of relationships of my own characters and what they would have. The next book is called Cat Magic by Jonathan Barry and Whitley Strieber. I think it might have been an anthology book, but I'm not sure, although I did just order a new copy of it, so that kind of says something. I really should have looked in my bookshelves to see if I kept the original, but if I wind up with 2 copies, then I'm good with that. There are some books that you never give away and never donate. Part of the story introduced me to an idea that has stuck with me ever since, and it was a metaphysical idea that has deeply affected every aspect of my personal belief system and inspired me to explore so much more than I might never have known existed without the freedom to read what I wanted as a child. 2 of those ideas are reincarnation and the idea that we make our own afterlife based on what we think we deserve. If I recall correctly, the main character either dies or visits the afterlife and winds up tortured and tormented in her own version of hell until she kind of works through whatever it was she did that made her think she deserved it, and then manages to progress. Now, that idea forever changed my view of what heaven and hell really might be. The third book is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. This one's really super easy. What I carried away from it was this. It was the knowledge of what a tesseract was, at least in theory, and the concept of multidimensional existence. From Madeleine L'Engle, there came Piers Anthony and the Apprentice Adept series, as well as the Magic of Xanth series, which would later inspire me to check out nonfiction but theoretical books like A Brief History of Time, The Holographic Universe, and The Grand Biocentric Design. Now, we'll get into other nonfictions. We'll get into Marcus Aurelius and Sun Tzu later on. But Piers Anthony also led the way eventually to Dune and Frank Herbert. And then last but not least for this vid, Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach and Russell Munson. If you haven't read it, I would strongly suggest that you do so. Again, for me, the themes that stuck were these. You can achieve anything you put your mind to, and don't worry about what others think or what they say. Follow your own star. So on that note, thank you for being here. If you found any of this helpful or insightful, please like, subscribe, and share with our community of creatives. Till next time, keep writing, keep reading, keep creating, and we'll keep hope alive together.